YouTube, what's good? Welcome back to the OE Podcast. I'm your boy K Sounds. Over here, we recap the biggest games, standout performances, and shakeups in sports each week. From game-changing plays and nail-biting finishes to playoff implications and rivalry drama, we're here to break it down. Today, we're talking college football and diving into some big matchups and thrilling upsets that have playoff implications, like Michigan's win over Ohio State, Alabama's Iron Bowl dominance, Notre Dame securing the playoff spot, Texas headed to the SEC title game to face Georgia, and Syracuse shocking upset over number 6 Miami. Whether you're a diehard fan, a casual viewer, or somewhere in between, we've got the insights and the highlights to keep you in the game. And with that, let's jump right into it. Week 14 in the books, first game's crazy. Let's talk about Travis Hunter's Heisman winning performance and Colorado's commanding 52-0 win over Oklahoma State.
I think Travis clinched the Heisman with his performance. I think he made a lot of people aware of how ignorant there was with the Thorpe. His performance today, he had 3 touchdowns, 100 yards, and an interception. And 2 passes broken up. Should have had another pick. Hit him right in the darn chest. I'm not happy about that, but I'm happy with him.
That's Coach Prime himself. Deion Sanders making the case for his two-way star Travis Hunter. And after this game, it's hard to argue. Hunter put on an absolute clinic. 10 catches, 116 yards, 3 tutties, including a highlight reel grab with a defender draped all over him, and an interception. The man even struck the Heisman pose after his 3rd score. His season totals are at 14 touchdowns, breaking Colorado's single-season receiving record. His QB, Shedeur Sanders, summed it up perfectly.
There's no argument at this point. Crazy the consistency that he has. I feel like that's what the award is about. And of course, the other contenders in there is having consistency also.
Consistency is key, and Hunter has delivered week in and week out, showing why he's the best player in college football. If the Heisman is truly about dominance, versatility, and clutch performances, Hunter has checked every box. But let's not look over Shedeur Sanders, who had an historic night of his own, throwing for 438 yards and 5 tutties, breaking Colorado's single-season passing record with 3,926 yards. Add in his school best 35 touchdown passes, and you've got a QB season for the ages. Oh, and by the way, he just took home the Johnny United's Golden Arm Award. Now Colorado is 9-3, bowl-bound, and still clinging to slim hopes for a Big 12 title game berth. They need chaos across the conference with losses from teams like BYU, Iowa State, and Arizona State. Coach Prime summed it up in true Deion fashion.
We certainly wanted to take that one extra step last week, and we fell short, but look how we rebounded. Look how we wiped our tears and got back up, got on the horse, and yelled, "Giddy up."
Defensively, Colorado was lights out, pitching their first shutout since 2021 and forcing 4 turnovers, including a pick 6 by DJ McKinney. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State ended the season with a 9-game losing streak. A tough pill to swallow for the Cowboys, but as Coach Mike Gundy would put it,
we didn't really give ourselves a chance on offense. I don't think we had a first down in the first half, and I was surprised that we couldn't perform better.
With senior day behind them, Colorado now waits for a bowl bid. One thing's for sure, this team and Travis Hunter have made their mark on the college football season. Up next, Georgia and Georgia Tech battled through 8 overtimes, and what might go down as the game of the year. Georgia escaped it with a 44-42 win.
Obviously, the overtime was epic, but what a great game.
Epic is right. The Bulldogs rallied from a 17-0 halftime deficit, forcing overtime with 2 clutch tutties in the final 6 minutes of regulation. Carson Beck was the man of the hour, throwing 5 touchdown passes, including 2 in OT. And let's not forget freshman Nate Frazier. He capped off the marathon with a 2-point conversion in the 8th overtime, securing Georgia's 10th win of the season and keeping their playoff hopes alive.
So our opportunities in front of us, we got to go out and play well and play a good team.
But let's give credit where credit is due. Georgia Tech came to play. Haynes King had a monster game, 303 passing yards, 110 rushing yards, and 5 total touchdowns. But most of the night, he looked unstoppable, slicing through Georgia's defense. Still, the Yellow Jackets couldn't close it out. A costly fumble late in the 4th quarter gave Georgia the opening it needed. The Bulldogs tied it up with just over a minute left to play, and the rest is history. Here's the kicker. This was the longest game in SEC history and ended just one overtime shy of the FBS record. Both teams showed incredible grit, but Georgia proved why they've won 31 straight at home. For Georgia Tech, this was a heartbreak. Coach Bryn Key has done a phenomenal job rebuilding this program, but his emotional reaction after the game said it all.
There's no moral victories, but I'm proud of those guys. And we'll use this to continue to fuel us, to continue to improve.
Meanwhile, Georgia keeps its playoff hopes alive at 10-2. They're eyeing a spot in the 12-team playoff field, regardless of what happens in the upcoming SEC championship against Texas. But let's be real, this isn't the same Georgia team that dominated college football the last 2 seasons. They gave up 563 yards to Georgia Tech, including 260 on the ground. If they want to contend for another national title, the Bulldogs will need to tighten up, especially on defense.
You know, we're a beat-up football team, guys. We are beat up. We need to get well, and it's not going to happen this week. So we got to keep getting better.
Up next, Georgia Tech awaits for its bowl destination and hopes to secure its first 8-win season since 2016. Georgia heads to the house Saban built for its 4th straight SEC title game appearance, looking to add another chapter to Kirby Smart's incredible run. Well, it looks like Notre Dame punched in their ticket to the college football playoff. With a 49-35 win over USC, thanks to 2 defensive touchdowns in the final minutes. Now let's dive in.
The statement we made was we won our rivalry game versus a dang good football team. And that's the only statement I wanted to make today.
That statement was loud and clear. Notre Dame's defense delivered when it mattered most. Christian Gray and Xavier Watts each had interception return touchdowns, 99 and 100 yards respectively. Just 2.5 minutes apart. Those 2 plays not only clinched the win, but also secured Notre Dame's spot in the first ever 12-team playoff. Here's how it went down. USC was marching, down just 7 late in the 4th quarter. Jay Maiava, USC's quarterback, looked to tie the game with a back shoulder throw to Kyron Hudson. Instead, Gray picked it off, spun around, and sprinted 99 yards down the sideline for the score. Just minutes later, Watts capitalized on another errant Maiava pass, returning it 100 yards to seal the victory. Those 2 plays marked the first time in the 21st century that a team recorded multiple 99-yard pick sixes in the same game. Notre Dame's offense wasn't too shabby either. Jadarian Price rushed for 111 yards and a tutty, while QB Riley Leonard threw for 2 scores and added another one on the ground. Leonard's leadership since transferring from Duke has been a stabilizing force for the Irish, who've now won 10 straight games. But let's not ignore USC's effort. Jacoby Lane was a bright spot for the Trojans, catching 3 tutties, including a late one with just 13 seconds left. Maiava, despite the late interceptions, threw for 360 yards and added 2 rushing scores. For USC, this loss caps a disappointing 6-6 season under Lincoln Riley. Injuries didn't help, with Woody Marks leaving early and snapping his 56-game reception streak. Riley's high-priced offense once again fell short when it mattered most, leaving fans questioning the direction of the program.
Certainly, we've made obviously massive progress defensively in every way that you can measure it, but certainly today wasn't our best.
Back to Notre Dame. This win locks them into the CFP. But as Marcus Freeman says, the job's not done.
They're resilient, they battled, they're never out of the fight. And that's what you love about it, man, that they compete until the clock's at 0.
Notre Dame now prepares for a likely first-round home playoff game. With their ability to grind out wins and deliver in clutch moments, this team could make noise in December. But USC is another year of unmet expectations. They'll head to a low-stakes bowl game, but that's hardly what fans had in mind when Riley took over. Now, the Iron Bowl never disappoints. This year, Alabama took down Auburn 28-14 in a game full of big plays, turnovers, and playoff implications. Let's break it down. Jalen Milroe was the story of the day for Alabama. The dual-threat QB accounted for 360 total yards, throwing for 256 and rushing for 104, while scoring 3 touchdowns on the ground. While the Tide showed flashes of dominance, they also left fans shaking their heads with 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, and an interception from Milroe. Still, they got the job done, remaining undefeated at home and keeping their slim playoff hopes alive. Jeremy Bernard had a big game himself, racking up 111 receiving yards on 7 catches. Now let's be real for a second. Whether Alabama sneaks into the CFP depends on chaos across the ranking. Losses by Clemson and Miami certainly helped their case, but it's not over. Auburn, on the other hand, put up a fight but couldn't finish drives. Peyton Thorne threw for 301 yards and a tutty, but was picked off late. Auburn's trick play attempt in the fourth quarter backfired, with Jarquez Hunter throwing an interception that killed any comeback hope. Auburn's red zone struggles told the story. They had a 1st and goal attempt at Alabama's 2-yard line in the first half, but settled for a field goal.
I think the difference in the game was their ability to stay on the field on 3rd down and us not being able to score touchdowns in the red zone.
And Freeze is right. Alabama converted 12 of 18 3rd down attempts, while Auburn missed key opportunities, including a 4th down failure in the red zone. The game wasn't without its drama. A scuffle on the Auburn sideline saw Alabama defenders Vontae Smith and Malachi Moore flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct. While tempers flared, Alabama kept its composure when it mattered most, sealing its 5th straight Iron Bowl victory. For Auburn, this marks a 5th straight losing season and leaves Coach Hugh Freeze on the hot seat heading into year 3. For Alabama, the Iron Bowl win was another step towards salvaging an up-and-down season under new coach Kalen DeBoer.
You know, when you talk about the schedule and what it is week to week, you know, it's just a grind, and you know, having to come back every week, that's really the only conference that has to do that is ours.
A grind indeed. The Tide's resume includes a number 6 win over Georgia, but also 3 road losses, including a 24-3 loss at Oklahoma that has them on the outside looking in for the CFP. But in all, I think Coach KD had a hell of a season. 9-3 for a first-year SEC coach is great. Okay, time for upsets. The unthinkable happened in this game, as Michigan stunned Ohio State with a gritty 13-10 victory. Let's break it down.
Come to Michigan to play this game, so it's the biggest one of the year. It's the one that everyone looks forward to, and to be able to come in here and take the win is an amazing feeling.
For kicker Dominique Zavada, it doesn't get any bigger than drilling a game-winning field goal with 45 seconds left. The Wolverines pulled off their 4th straight win over Ohio State, shaking up the Big Ten. Michigan came into this game unranked, struggling through a disappointing season and missing key players like tight end Colston Loveland and cornerback Will Johnson. Meanwhile, Ohio State was a 21-point favorite. On paper, this should have been a blowout. Instead, it was anything but. Michigan's defense deserves all the flowers today. They held Ohio State's high-powered offense to just 10 points and 77 rushing yards. Ohio State QB Will Howard wasn't himself today, throwing for only 175 yards with a touchdown and 2 interceptions. Let's not forget, 2 missed field goals from Jaden Fielding was big in a game this close.
I mean, I think our defense played outstanding. You know, he held a high-powered offense again another week to 10 points.
On offense, Khalil Mullins carried the load for Michigan. He ran for 116 yards, including the Wolverines' lone touchdown. After a first-half interception, set them up deep in Buckeye territory. Mullins summed up the vibe perfectly.
You can definitely slowly feel them start to lose confidence and lose that energy and lose that faith.
Confidence was definitely slipping for Ohio State. Howard's struggles were evident, and after the game, he was visibly, emotionally admitting this one hurt. But the heartbreak wasn't limited to just him. Ohio State seniors, Emeka Egbuka, Travion Henderson, and Jack Sawyer came back this year with one goal, to finally beat Michigan. For them, this loss stings even more.
I let you guys down, let all Buckeye Nation. You know, I think there's more we could have done, I don't know, but we just could have done more, I don't know. Let you guys down, I'm sorry.
Let's not overlook the late game drama. After the final whistle, Michigan tried to plant their flag at midfield, which led to a heated skirmish. Clearly, the emotions in this rivalry runs as deep as ever. So what's next? For Michigan, it's likely a minor bowl game, but this win will feel like their championship moment. For Ohio State, their Big Ten title hopes are over, but they still need the CFP committee to take a hard look at their resume. The Texas A&M rivalry returned with a bang, and the Longhorns came out on top. With a 17-7 win to punch their ticket into the SEC championship. Let's dive in it. When Travion was the star of the show, rushing for a career-high 186 yards, controlling the pace of the game. Texas built a 17-0 halftime lead, and despite a shaky second half, their defense stepped up when it mattered most. The Longhorns held the Aggies to just 7 points, forced 3 turnovers on downs, and stopped A&M at the goal line late in the fourth quarter to seal the win. Ethan Burke's tackle for loss on 4th and goal from the 1 was a game changer, and Michael Taft's interception early on set the tone. Texas now heads into a rematch with Georgia in Atlanta, with a first-round bye in the college football playoff on the line. For A&M, this loss stings. The Aggies had opportunities to close the gap including a block punt that set them up in the red zone, but they couldn't capitalize.
We had an opportunity to do something really special this year, and we couldn't close on it. And so, that'll haunt me, that'll haunt us, that'll haunt the players. We had chances and we just didn't get it done. And, unfortunately, that's part of football and that's part of life, but doesn't make it any easier and certainly doesn't make it acceptable.
Elko's Aggies are 8-4 in his first year, but missed opportunities and inconsistencies defined their season. Arch Manning also made his mark for Texas, scoring on a 15-yard run and stepping up as a backup. His ability to contribute in big moments adds another layer of depth to this Longhorns team. Ewers wasn't perfect, turning the ball over twice in the red zone, but he connected with Jadon Blue for a tutty and managed the game well enough to secure the dub. While the Longhorns are riding high, they'll need to clean up their offensive mistakes to compete against one of the nation's best defenses. For A&M, it's another season of what could have been. They'll await their bold destination. But for a program with high expectations, the pressure will only build on Mike Elko heading into next year. Syracuse delivered one of the biggest upsets of the season, rallying from a 21-0 deficit to beat Miami 42-38, knocking the Hurricanes out of the ACC title game contention and possibly the college football playoffs. Let's break it down. This game was a tale of two halves. Miami dominated the first quarter, scoring touchdowns on their first 3 drives, and it looked like a BTA was in the works. But Syracuse had other plans. Kyle McCord, the Ohio State transfer, led the charge with 380 passing yards, 3 tutties, and a lot of swagger. His connection with receivers like Trevor Pena and Jackson Meeks was unstoppable, with Meeks grabbing 2 scores and Pena notching 128 receiving yards and a touchdown.
At the end of the day, I think this win just kind of shows that Syracuse is for real, and so to be a part of that team that turned things around and got things going in the right direction, I think that's that's going to last forever.
Syracuse defense also came up huge when it mattered most. Devin Grant's forced fumble and 56-yard return for a tutty gave the Orange their first lead late in the third. McCord and LaQuint Allen didn't work the clock perfectly on Syracuse's final drive, icing the game and Miami's playoff hopes. For Miami, this loss stings. Cam Ward had a strong performance with 349 passing yards and 2 tutties, and Xavier Restrepo racked up 148 receiving yards. But Miami's defense couldn't contain Syracuse's explosive plays, especially in the second half.
We came up short, and that's on all of us, starting with myself.
Cristobal's decision to kick a field goal late rather than go for it on 4th and goal from the 10 will be scrutinized. Miami settled for 3 points, hoping their defense can get a stop, but Syracuse ran out the final 3:42 on the clock. Credit goes to Syracuse coach Fran Brown, who's completely revitalized this program. His squad now sits at 9-3 with 3 wins over ranked opponents.
We're growing, so we just got to keep pushing. But I will never be satisfied with second place or third place. That's like loser's mentality. But I'm happy for our players that our seniors got to raise the standard of what it takes to be a Syracuse football player.
Syracuse QB Kyle McCord summed it up best. This team is making history. McCord became the first Syracuse QB to throw for 4,000 yards in a season, and his poise in the game showed why he's been a game changer for the Orange. For Miami, the focus shifts to what's next. The Hurricanes will need some help to sneak into the 12-team playoff, but a bowl game feels more likely after this devastating loss. For Syracuse, this win caps off an incredible regular season and sets them up for a prime bowl game. And that wraps up another episode of the OE Podcast. We tackled the best games and biggest stories from Week 14 in college football. From Michigan's gritty win over Ohio State and Alabama's Iron Bowl triumph, to Notre Dame punching in its CFP ticket, Texas and Georgia advancing to the SEC title game, and Syracuse delivering a season-defining upset. This week had it all. Whether it's championship dreams, playoff heartbreak, or season-defining rivalries, this sport never fails to deliver the drama. Thanks for tuning in. And if you enjoyed today's recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment and let us know which game you think will be next week's biggest matchup. Are you celebrating a big win, mourning a tough loss, or already looking ahead to next weekend? Let us know. Like always, catch you next time. This is the OE Podcast on your boy K Sound. I'm out.